Slater Crusaders been looking forward to it all weekend, as have all my friends and family members who want the latest with COVID. And I don't trust a lot of people, but I trust the professor, Professor Vincent Racaniello, professor of virology at Columbia University, and he's host of the podcast This Week in Virology. Thwip. What do you call it, Professor?
Twiv, man. It's Twiv.
Twiv. Yeah. That's right. TW, not TH. Twiv. Also, you have the best podcast intro of any podcast I've ever heard. It's the professor coming in, like saying hello, and then it's like this like hard techno beat for like 4 seconds, and then boom, right into the podcast. It's great. It's my favorite intro.
Thank you.
Professor, let's talk about viral loads in kids and people of different ages. What do we know?
All right, so there's a lot of talk about this, right? Because people are starting to think about going back to school in the fall. And so what's going on with kids? We know, first of all, there's a lot of rumors. So let's get it all straight. First of all, kids get infected, but they seem not to get mostly serious illness. Now, there's always exceptions, right? There's some rare kids who get sick and even die, but they get sick way less than do older people, okay? So that's fact number one. And the question is, are they just getting infected less? That's one question. And the second question is, can they transmit? All right. And a lot of schools are saying they don't transmit, and that's a justification for opening schools. Now, I think we should open schools, but I don't think that's correct to use that as an excuse. So first of all, kids get infected just as often as anyone else does. It seems the numbers support that. And so kids are getting infected. They're just not getting sick for whatever reason. And they're shedding. If you look at virus being shed from the nose, which is the way it's spread mainly to other people, they're shedding quite a bit of virus, as much virus as an adult who's infected. So they're clearly able to transmit. So if you read anything that says that kids are infected less, that they don't transmit, that's wrong, okay? As far as I can tell from the science, they do transmit. And so when we bring them back to school, we have to do it wisely.
There was talk on your podcast with some of the guys there about, there are two conversations. First, how they measured that.
Right.
Can we start with that? Like, how do you measure that properly?
Right. So, you put a swab in the nose to measure, to get a swab of the virus, right? And then you put that in the tube, and you can measure it two ways. You can do what we call PCR, which just amplifies the nucleic acid, the genetic material of the virus, but it doesn't tell you if there's actually infectious virus there. And we know there's a disconnect between the PCR result and the infectious virus result. And so a couple of studies have actually taken swabs from kids and done both, PCR and look for infectious virus, which you have to do in a laboratory and, specialized cell culture and so forth. And, it's not all RNA is infectious. And so what we find with these kids is that they are indeed shedding infectious virus for a certain number of days. And so they are transmissible. And that's the point there, because if you just look at a PCR result, you can't tell if it's infectious virus or not.
Yes. Okay. So another guest made the point that why have there not been major super spreading events in schools like we see with almost every other virus that goes about?
Well, that's a really good question. And we don't understand what makes a super spreader to begin with. It may be biology. It may be that person makes a lot of virus, right? A lot of more so than anyone else. And so the droplets have more virus in them. That could be one thing. But a super spreader can also have social aspects, right? A super spreader. So in SARS-1, there was a famous doctor who treated some patients in Hong Kong, in China. And then he flew to a hotel in Hong Kong and he infected 10 people from 10 different countries, right? And he was a super spreader. But the fact that he went to this hotel is part of it, right? And these kids are sitting in class, right? They don't have many social interactions. Of course, as you get into high school and college, you get more and more social interaction. So that could be part of it, that your network of interactions also helps you to be a super spreader. And maybe the kindergarten kids are sitting there scared in their chairs. They don't have the opportunity to infect many people. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So why do you conclude that we should go back to school then? Is it more socially because people got to get back to work and stuff?
So I'm becoming more and more realizing that we can't shut down our world every time there's another outbreak, right? We have to learn how to deal with this. And that's the part, that was the reason we shut down for 4 months, was to learn how to deal with it. Unfortunately, we didn't do a lot of good. The doctors really learned how to take care of patients, but we haven't learned how to do more testing. So I think kids need to go back to school, including, elementary, high school, and college. But you have to do it safely, which means you're going to have to do a lot of testing and other things as well.
Slater Crusaders, thanks for watching the first on YouTube. If you want more, like, subscribe. We got plenty.